Okay, let me introduce myself. I'm Rajendra Rai. I've been a Rotarian since 1984, and I was the governor for district in 2007 and 8. Uh, we, as Velma mentioned, we had a PTT program with the District 1190 about 10 years back, wherein we had sent doctors, nurses, and also some specialist marketing person of the hospice here in India to your district to get themselves trained in the hospices in your district. That is a very successful program we have had. And we thought that after a long gap, you see, we should once again reconnect with your district and have one more VTT. This time around, we thought that we should send our school teachers, teachers who teach English language as well as science to your district so that they could go to your district and uh, have interaction with the teachers over there and learn the methodology of teaching a language. Because as Velma mentioned, you see, English is an aspirational language for our young people. And unless we are good teachers to teach English, uh, we won't be creating that, what to call, making those children competent enough to, and competent as well as confident enough to go into the university where most of the technical subjects are taught in English, especially those who pursue engineering and medicine. That's the reason we thought probably a univocational team of teachers led by a Rotarian teacher going into your district for about 3 or 4 weeks, and they'll interact with you. They'll be hosted by your districts. It could be if it is 4 weeks VTT program, they'll go to 4 different schools and get the inputs from them on the teaching methodology as well as certain nuances of the English language. Also, you see, while they are there, they could probably expose to some specialist language teachers, something like a workshop. They could probably attend a workshop and get themselves those skills which are required to teach English better than what they've been doing here in India. So that was the objective behind which we thought of having this VTT program. And I connected with my good friend, Dr. Vasu, and who was also instrumental in having our connect at the time when we had the VTT for doctors and nurses who visited the hospices there. So, and this interaction took some time because uh, any global brand project uh, should have minimum outlay of about $30,000, which means that certain cash contribution as well as the detailed contributions required to be made by both the district. By the time we could put things together in terms of the financials, the year was over last year. So then we thought it right to start the new year with this particular program being launched by District 3192 now and 1190 in the UK. This is what I have to convey to you at this moment in time. Probably you may have some questions to ask. I would be obliged to answer that to clear your doubts.
Well, can I just add 2 more things if I can, Rajendra? Sure. I think initially the idea was to include science as well, but I think since then, I think we've dropped science. I think it'll be just English. Is that correct, Rajendra? I think that's what we...
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is...
When you had, we thought that probably restricted to only English.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to say something about the education system in Bangalore, in our part of India. There are 2 kinds of schools. There are private schools, which charge quite a lot of money. The medium of instruction in those schools is English, so there's no problem. They got good teaching, good teachers. But the problem is with the the government schools where the medium of instruction is a local language, which is Kannada, and then they are taught very elementary English, very basic English, and the teachers are not up to mark really. So these children, because they don't, learn English very well, their life chances are very limited. Even, let alone going to university, getting any sort of decent job without a good working knowledge of English, their life chances are, well, very small. So we thought it was unfair that, we should try and help these children. Many of them are very bright children, and they need an equal chance. So it is with that in mind that we thought about this VTT. So the teachers will come from government schools or government aided schools. This is for the maximum benefit of these children who go to these Kannada medium schools. So a bit of background to the whole thing.
Thank you very much, Baz. I see past District Governor Arthur has got his hand up. Arthur?
Yeah, can I just ask, would you be interested in visiting and spending some time in a special educational needs school? I was until very recently a governor of the local one, which is a good to outstanding school. And I just wondered if that's the case, I could perhaps facilitate that. But it depends whether if that's thought to be a good starting point or a good place to go anyway.
Rajendra, did you understand the question and the phrase of special needs?
Yeah, and I do understand that. In fact, we have one Rotarian who went as a ambassador scholar to USA to teach special children suffering from autism and epilepsy and things like that. So she has got an institute here wherein they take care of these children, the children of special needs. I do understand. In fact, it could be good too to expose these teachers to such institutions where they could get some inputs in respect of teaching these special children, because we do have such children in the schools, and it would be a good idea to include maybe 2 or 3 days some training program specifically in respect of teaching the special children.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Arthur?
Yeah, so I get the gist that it might be a good idea for at least one of them.
Thank you.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the main purpose, now that you know the background, the main purpose of asking you all to attend tonight, to be able to run a vocational training team effectively, we obviously as a district cannot do it on our own. We need the help and the assistance of the clubs within this district. You are the people that has the contacts with the schools. You know who the teachers are. You've been very successful in the past in organizing club visits and VTT members, hosting them, organizing accommodation for them, organizing social activities, inviting them to your clubs to make them feel welcome. And I'm sure they will do the same for you if you reciprocate the visit back to India. So is there any questions? Is there anybody that's brave enough to put his or her hand up at this moment and say, yes, this is really something that my club would like to be involved in. We would like to host some of the people. I mean, we need a leader for the group in this district. Someone who can coordinate the whole program once we know which clubs are involved, once we know which schools needs to be contacted and organize and just coordinate the whole period of time that they're going to be here. And the length of time would be around about 5 weeks, Rajendra, is that correct?
Yes, it could be 4 weeks or 5 weeks.
So during James.
Thank you very much indeed. I'll introduce myself as I've spent the last 20 years until I retired teaching ESOL. ESOL is English for speakers of other languages. And also for the last 15 years prior to retirement, I was an examiner for ESOL and languages with Cambridge University. 5 weeks is not a great deal of time. And you do need actual specialist teachers. You can't take teachers from a secondary or a primary school and say, there we are, there you have a student, their English is not very good. We want you to teach them how to speak English. It's more, there's a great deal more to it than just giving somebody teaching literacy to an overseas student. So I think we need to look into this a little bit more carefully.
You want to respond to that, Rajendra?
Yeah, now I would like to clarify here. We are going to train the teachers. These teachers are normally graduates. They are fairly competent in the language because they are taught, those who teach English in the schools, they also do what's called after their BA degree, which is a Bachelor of Arts, they also do a specialized course like B.Ed, the Bachelor of Education. So they are trained teachers. They also have go through training by what's called the diet. But what we are probably looking for is to fine tune their teaching methodology, what's called the pedagogy. It's like brushing their thing, and also the diction, pronunciations. These are some of the things, some nuances of English, and also give them an exposure to origin of English that is in England. So they could also probably visit Stratford, where Shakespeare was, and we can probably take them to a play. So give them a overall experience, a wholesome experience, wherein they get inputs which they carry back and deploy that in the schools while teaching. They become the master trainers.
Okay,
for training other teachers.
I do apologize. I must have misheard. I didn't know that you were talking about actual teachers as opposed to students. Do apologize.
No problem, no problem. Absolutely no problem to, no need to apologize. Arthur, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I don't know if I missed it. Do we have dates in mind? And
No.
of course, I can't commit my club right now, but I will take it to the club and come back to you.
Well, it's a case of preparing. I know that Rajendra is currently completing the needs analysis for the global grant, but have you set a specific date yet, Rajendra? Because it will all depend on the submission of the grant, and obviously when it gets approved, that will influence the dates at which the VTT will take place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Now, since you're going to be expending the money for this particular project in your district, host has to be your district, because I can't get the grant money and then transfer it to the UK. It's, by the law, it's not permitted. So what is ideal would be, I'll once I become the partner district and the primary contact from the international partner, we'll frame the application, and you have to, somebody from your side should be a primary contact who could be making the application on your behalf. Now, I reckon normally these global grant projects applications takes about 1.5 months, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, at the most 8 weeks to get itself cleared and approved, and also the money to be coming in. So if you start the activity now, we are already on the 10th of, if you complete the application process by end of July, maybe August, September, we should be in a position to roll it out. That means that probably the teachers could come in the month of October or November, or I don't want to push it to December because it's a cold season over there. But still, of course, if there is no choice, and also you have the Christmas holidays, so it will probably be not the right time to do that. Or alternatively, we can have it in January, February, even if the program is approved. But what I thought probably was, if everything goes right, if everything is get cleared by September, maybe they can visit your district in October, November, and then the return visit of your teachers to from your side could probably come in the month of January, because at the right time after the Christmas and after the New Year, your team could come here at the right time for visiting India. It's a very pleasant climate at that time in Bangalore, so it could be the best time to visit India.
Okay.
So it could be any time from October, November, with a return visit early next year.
Correct, correct.
Thank you. Right, now that you've got all the background, is there any questions? Lizzie?
Yeah, is this a kind of exchange situation?
That's the idea, yes. That they will come here first, and then a group of our teachers will go out to India to visit there.
Mm. Just bearing in mind that our schools here just have 2 weeks at maximum for the end of term. It's just quite tight to kind of consolidate stuff with the schools at this present moment.
In October, it will be, well, I can see where you're coming from, because they will have half term in October, which means 2 weeks of October is wiped out, and then you only have November. So that makes it a little bit difficult. And then obviously if it spills over in December, then you have the Christmas holidays to take into consideration. But then on the other hand as well, if you look at February next year, it's the slow but surely start up to exams and Easter and everything. So I don't think there's a really ideal time. But I take on board what you say, Lizzie, and thank you for pointing it out, that with half term in October, it might be very, very difficult.
It's a bit tight now to talk to schools at present. Because they're heading for the end of term, and obviously with various things going on, it's a bit tight to talk to them before the end of the this present term.
You've only got a week left.
Because the schools are closing now for the summer holidays, Rajendra, and then it's only opening in the first week in September, which means there's not enough time at this moment in time to make contact with the schools and to make arrangements. So it seems like if we want to do this, it will have to be in 2024 to really give us sufficient time to make contact with the schools and arrange for the visit here and then the return visit. Perhaps when our school exams and things start, it's probably the best time for them then to go to India in a way. When things are
no issue. In fact,
muted, Lizzie.
Enough, because we have to see the we need to be taking into appreciate what you're saying. So February is okay with us. We have no issue on that count.
Can I ask a question? Would it be better for the team from this end to visit Bangalore first? Say maybe this year, sometime this year, maybe October, November is a good time to visit in India. I mean, the weather will be good in Bangalore. It's not, so that they can assess what exactly the teachers need to be trained in when they come here. So they have a good idea as to, what's available in Bangalore and what's not available, and what's the sort of teaching methods that they adapt, and what how they could improve. So the team from India can come in the new year.
It's a good idea, Bas, but are we still going to have the same issue that we need to make contact with the schools in a very short time frame to arrange everything?
That's what the team will go from here to India first, and that will give us enough time to make arrangements here. The team from India will come in 2024.
Yeah, but we still need to identify the schools,
right,
and make contact with them. And as Lizzie pointed out, there's a week left before it's summer holidays, and then they only go back to school in September. So we sit with basically 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, in which we will have to organize our teachers to get over there. Arthur.
Yeah, it just crossed my mind that if I was to send an email now, this evening, to the school I was used to be involved with, I'll get an answer very quick. And all I'll ask them is this something here you would be interested in? And would you have a teacher who might like to join? And I'll come back to you, but we'd need a list of criteria.
But we have that. Rajendra have provided the details.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but just to get just to alert the schools and say, is this something you might be interested in going forward? We could just get an indication, could we not?
We could if we have contacts with schools. Those of you who have good contacts with schools, perhaps contact them and ask him. Lizzie?
Well, certainly Anthony has.
Yes,
Are we talking primary or secondary, or
I think it was more secondary, Rajendra, wasn't it? It was
Yes,
for the
around
oldest.
secondary or high school. Yeah.
Secondary.
The special needs school I've got is from early years right through to 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And then they move that year, they move into a local college to get them used to the changes needed for college courses, so they're not feeling isolated. But the teachers that they're used to go with them to ease them in. So we could do, certainly in that school, it could do the whole range.
Yeah. No, that
of age groups. That's what I'm talking about.
Can people just give me an indication who of you on the screen in front of me has got good contacts with schools, with secondary schools? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's four people on. Would you mind then to send an email to them, say tomorrow morning, and just see if they can gauge any interest? And then we can take it further. I mean, I'm not saying they need to commit at this moment in time. It's a case of putting the feelers out there to find out, is this something that you would be interested in participating with? Does that sound acceptable?
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, two points, please, Val. I think we need to appreciate that if the schools do release their teachers, they will have the expense of filling in for them, because they simply can't allow teachers to leave the school for weeks at a time without cover. So we need to be mindful of the expense that schools will incur in supporting this. And the second and more dismal point I would make is that we're still an awful lot of industrial unrest in the schools, as sadly we know. Goodness knows where it will be by September, October, but feelings are pretty strong, and the teachers feel they are underpaid, and the government feels we can't afford to pay, etc., and pay review bodies and whatever. So sorry, there's two Jeremiah points really, but I think it's something, they are ones we should consider.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning them, Sam. Arthur?
Does our school year and terms match those in India? Because perhaps they would be willing to go during their breaks, half terms and things. Although half terms are only a couple of weeks, aren't they? So perhaps not long enough, but it might help the situation.
Rajendra, can you answer the question? When is your holidays?
Our school, we have a short break in October during Diwali. Christmas, we don't have break except for a holiday on the 25th. Otherwise, you see, the term will be on. So we have no issue in respect of that. Another thing I need to clarify is that when you identify, say, for example, if you're having a program for 4 weeks, you need to identify 4 schools. That means they'll be spending only 1 week in each school. So and also as one of the routines mentioned, that you need to compensate. Global grant can compensate the cost of giving an assignment to a teacher to be with this guest from outside. So we in our cost, we need to also factor those costs of training, specifically for employing somebody or assigning some teacher the specific job. We could probably pay her that in respect of the time spent, you see. So that could probably be covered in the global grant application.
Thank you.
So as a salary,
Virginia,
we cannot give, but as a program cost, we can probably factor that.
Sorry, someone had a question. I didn't see who it was.
Arthur? Yeah, I wonder if Virginia could send you the dates of their school year so we can compare.
Hello. Hello.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna have to.
Have we just left? Have we just lost Rajendra? Oh no, there he is. Rajendra, would you mind?
Yeah, I'm around. Don't worry.
Would you send me an email with your school term dates on, please, so that we know when holidays are, please?
As I mentioned, you see, their holidays is only in October for about 10 or 15 days. But I'll check and reconfirm it because we have been in school for quite some years back. So I need to get it confirmed, the local schedules. Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you very much. Keith?
Just going back to your original question about contacting the schools in the morning by email, there's very little chance of getting a reply between now and the end of term. And so if I did put an email in tomorrow morning, which in fairness at the moment, I'm not prepared to do until I've spoken to my club, but if I did put an email in, I would not expect a reply until late September, because they'll be so busy winding down now with school trips and outings and getting reports done. And then in September, they've got to build the game up again. So I wouldn't expect anything from the school until the back end of September, if we're lucky.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because our local secondary school has got the World Challenge at the moment in Madagascar. So they are totally focused on that.
There you go.
And my grandchildren, 2 of my grandchildren are on that at the moment. So that's what they're focused on.
I don't wish to put a dampener on things, but I think the timeline is too tight.
Right. So is the overview or the feeling amongst all of you that it would be better if this happens in 2024?
Yes, from my point of view.
Myself personally, yes, I would, and I would also need to go to my club to give them.
Oh, I totally understand that, and yes, no problem with that.
Yeah.
Well, it gives us an indication of what to do and things to organize. It gives us a slightly longer period of time to organize everything properly, because it is a special way of making new friends, learning new things, and we don't want to mess it up at the end of the day. No. Brian, you've got a question.
Yeah, just a quick one. In terms of sharing the message with not only the schools but our own clubs, will you be sending out a summary of this series of requirements to all the delegates today?
I will send the information that I have received from Rajendra so far, and if there's anything that we can add to that, yes, I will add that and send it to. I haven't got a list of all the clubs that's in front of me, but I can send it to all clubs. So by all means, no problem.
Oh,
yes,
thanks
I'll do
very
that.
much. Thank you. Just wanted to, it's not only the schools, it's the clubs, because the first thing we're going to be asked is, yeah, what does it mean? How do we do it? And so forth. But if you could send that out, fantastic.
But there is a willingness on the part of everybody present here tonight to support this VTT.
I think in principle, I would imagine, yes. Yeah.
To be more optimistic, I would think that the programme is excellent. We had similar programmes back early on in the years. We had fortunately, in those days, we had head teachers in the club who we could just delegate that sort of thing to, and they would come through and everything would fall into place. The thing is now we've got a club of half that size, 32 people, but with Brian and the other two clubs in Furness, we should be able to do it. We hosted a team from the Philippines, actually, and it was beneficial not only to the Philippine team that came along, it was beneficial to the members who hosted them. It was like a typical Rotary international, so to speak, that encouraged us all to do it. Yep. And to be optimistic, I'm sure, you know, we can find some way of doing it in my club. I would certainly be prepared to host again because we got so much out of it the last time. And we also entertained. And I remember to digress, we had a team there and we had fish and chips from the fish and chip shop round the corner. And we went back to France and they gave us a 7-course meal on the Seine. And I thought, when they came to my house, we had fish and chips. But the thing was, it was part of that Rotary fellowship that like is so important in the spirit of the clubs, isn't it? And I'm sure Brian's there now, and I'm sure he would be like as willing as I am to help in any way we can. But unfortunately, when you were asking for contacts to schools, where we had 3 headmasters in our school and the head of the sixth form college, excellent people for getting things done on this sort of thing, we're bereft of you know, educationalists in our club at the moment.
I think we can get together, Bill, and have a chat about that, because I've got a good idea that gives us contact with all the schools in the area.
Yeah, very good.
We'll have a chat later.
Yeah. I think the 3 clubs in Barrow can because Furness Peninsula has already agreed that yes, we will take part. And I think it would be a good idea if all the Barrow clubs come together and see how we as 3 clubs, or Rotary and Barrow, or Barrow Rotary, can work together and really make it a special event. My experience from the last GSE team that came in 2013 was they are long-standing friends of us, and even now, 10 years after they visited, they still struggle to comprehend what Morris dancing is all about. It was just one of those things that was really, really totally surprising to them. Lizzie.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Is this totally restricted to secondary schools? Because we as a village have a very, very good contact with our local village school, Brykirk Dovenby, which has benefited from a grant for a sensory and community garden and teaching facility outside. And the other question is, am I to understand that any supply teaching that would be required if a teacher was in exchange, seconded, would the fee for that supply teacher be funded by Rotary?
That's what I understand. What Rajendra just said is that could come from the global grant application. Am I right, Rajendra?
Yeah, it can't be called as a salary, but it could be called as a program cost, something like that. You need to word it differently. For the time spent, and if you can find a specialist teacher. I was also, I'd also mentioned to you, see, it could also, during the weekend, if they could attend some workshop, a specialized workshop, which may be happening during that time, even that could be thought about. For the application, we need to have the schools identified well in advance. So as I understand, since you cannot get information back before the end of September, it would be prudent on our part to start applying, you see, around October. And by the time, the new year comes along, I think project may get approved, then February could be the right time for our teachers to visit. and in turn, your teachers could come once they finish their term there. And the number of teachers also, as I mentioned earlier, it could be one Rotary leader with the 4 teachers. Similarly, it could be the same way, one Rotarian teacher leader and a few teachers from your side. We need to see that the total cost doesn't go beyond the commitment of our districts. That's about $30,000. So you can always adjust the cost in this case, because they could be hosted in the houses of the Rotarian to reduce the cost, or it could be our teachers could be kept in a hostel facilities, or it could be a modest, decent accommodation. We don't have to give them any 5-star accommodations. What they look for is, see, I've been a GS team leader to your district, and some motel could be there, or it could be somebody's house where they could be could spend their time. And as you mentioned, there are 5 clubs. Each week, one club could take care in their community, find a school and put them on there. So job of that particular club is to take them to the place where they're supposed to be trained, to the school where they're supposed to be trained, bring them back. And you can also have fun in the evening, fellowship, as we used to have it when we went to the UK as a GS team leader. I see, I went to your neighboring district 1090 in 2000. Even today, I have contacts with the Rotarians who hosted me over there. So it was a remarkable experience, a life-changing experience. And I believe that for the school teachers who are teaching in the government school, a visit to any country outside India would be a great learning experience, apart from learning the skills of teaching.
Right, Rajendra, the team going from here, could it include recently retired English teachers? You know, could
it could be, sir. Those who have that the knowledge and the skill to impart. They need not be current teachers. From our side, we are looking for young teachers who are competent, well versed in English already, but they need to brush up their language skills and the teaching skills. That's the idea, so that they have at least some 20 to 30 years of teaching left in their career. From your side, we expect some experienced teachers and a Rotarian teacher leader. So somebody who could lead them, because you need to have a Rotary link so that they fall within the norms of Rotary and within our ethical practices.
Les?
So far, I've heard generic descriptions. Is this a dual gender or not that would be visiting?
I'm sure it's dual gender for a gender.
Yes, very, very much. What I was thinking is, as I mentioned earlier, maybe we can have 2 lady teachers and 2 men, so that it's easy for you to accommodation purpose. Also, we can put these two lady teachers and 2 men teachers in the in a twin sharing basis in a single room, and then the Rotarian teacher leader could have separate. So at the most, every time they stay in a particular place, they may be put in 3 rooms, you see. So there we can't have a single lady teacher. I reckon that we should have 2 lady teachers, 2 male teachers, and a Rotarian leader who could be either a male Rotarian or a female Rotarian.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions that needs answering? Bill?
Yeah, could I just ask how many is in the delegation? Is it 5, as you've just mentioned there?
Yeah,
5,
yes.
5.
5, yes. Oh, well, I think that could be accommodated, yes.
Yeah.
Mary?
I don't wish to be negative here, but I think we're all aware with all the recent industrial action. I do think teachers, generally speaking, I mean, I retired 9 years ago, are much more militant, and you cannot always, I think, perhaps I'm being too negative here. I'm just wondering how easy it will be to recruit teachers to undertake this program, because you know, the program of extracurricular visits, whether it's residential or whether it's day, it can only work when you have sufficient teachers to do it. And nowadays, a lot of teachers are reluctant, for whatever reason, to give up their time 24/7 for a week or whatever it is. Now, I'm sounding very negative, but I think we need to be realistic here, because we keep hearing about how behind everyone is because of COVID. How, you know, there's all these research papers coming out saying that children are never going to catch up. As the people have alluded to, there is lots of pressure on schools. I'm a little concerned how, and perhaps I'm being unrealistic, how cooperative schools will actually be.
I take on board what you say, Mary, and I think someone else has raised, Sam has raised the same issue, and I think we all are aware of it. I'm not saying that it will be wrong, but I think we need to give it a try and see if we do not get the response, then we know we haven't succeeded in what we set out to do. But let's give it a try and see how we can progress it. Someone, James, did you want to say something?
I think Sam's got his hand up.
Sam, sorry, Sam.
That's okay. Just 2 points, please, Val. And this will no doubt have occurred to you and John. We've got an excellent relationship with UCLan, University of Central Lancashire, now after the Global Scholar Grant. So I think they are well worth talking to and trying to get their help. And the second one is, I'm sorry, I'm not up to date, but do we now have any teacher training colleges in Lancashire and Cumbria? I don't think we have one in Lancashire, but in the old teacher training college in Ambleside, that presumably went into the University of Cumbria in some shape, did it?
Yeah, I think they still do teacher training at the Lancaster campus.
Yeah, so I think that'd be another group, well, institution well worth talking to, in terms of because I would be picking Mary's points up. I think it is more than likely that it is young enthusiastic teachers who will take this on rather than perhaps the veterans. It might well be wrong on that, but so I think contact with the teacher training establishment would be very, very useful for this.
Well, we might always find a few enthusiastic ones, Sam. I think, there's every possibility that we can find, I think let's be positive. I know it does,
Yeah, but hold on, I don't disagree, but the thing is, I thought the purpose of the of the exchange was to pass on skills. Now, if you're a student teacher, you're still learning yourself. If it's going to be an effective exchange, you do need teachers with a bit of experience. I would have said that it seems, the teacher is still learning.
I think
Somebody with a bit of experience to make it valuable for the Indian teachers.
It's also valuable, though, if we find different ways of doing this, not just with UCLan, but we've got a neighbouring district with several colleges in, all of whom specialise. We've got a huge area in East Lancashire with people who've had to deal with a very, very wide range of non-English speaking, perhaps even second and third language speakers. And we've got opportunities. I think Edge Hill is an Ormskirk base is still an opportunity, because you're looking at the moment at teachers but the expertise about methodology doesn't always lie just with the teachers. It also lies, as Sam points out, with the tertiary institutions. And there's a lot of people there who could provide valuable input.
Thank you very much for that, Les. Albert?
Yes, I think this is a very worthwhile project, having been a head teacher for many years in the past, of course, and I'm not au fait with what goes on at the moment. Apart from, I recognize the pressures on teachers, and I also recognize the political situation regarding teachers at the moment. But if I was a young teacher or a teacher and had this opportunity, I would think it as a very worthwhile exercise in my progression, in my profession. And I'm quite sure that there are many teachers out there in Cumbria and Lancashire who would jump at this chance. So I think it is a worthwhile project, and I think we should explore it.
Thank you very much, Albert. Any further questions from anybody?
Yeah.
Lizzie?
Yeah. So am I to understand that the delegation from India are coming here to further their linguistic expertise? What would our delegation from our country going to India? What would their what was required of them?
How would they benefit?
What can you answer that, Rajendra?
Yeah. You see, it's like this now. One is, of course, the exposure to the methodology we adopt here, and also their job, as I mentioned earlier, we expect some experienced teachers to come down here, not the ones who are like what Dr. Vasu mentioned, somebody who's retired, but he could give. They come here and then become master trainers to those other teachers. It's not the teachers whom were come and got the training here. They'll go into the schools and they change ideas. They give input to the teachers in our schools because we can't send more than 5. Your teachers to visit few schools and then spend a week in each school and exchange their expertise or skills and train those teachers in the schools itself. Maybe taking some classes in those schools. So the role is slightly different in respect of the teachers coming from the UK. They come as specialists to teach the teachers who did have the opportunity to go to UK, whereas our teachers are going there to learn the methodology and the better practices in your schools.
And also, the teachers from here, I think when they go there, they can assess the teaching methods that are, the facilities that are available in the classrooms, and they can suggest how they can improve the teaching aids, etc., the books, or or the way that the whole subject is taught. So they can look, see for themselves how English is taught in their classrooms and in those schools, and suggest ways of improving it, improving things. But that's how I see it. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes. Yeah. Very, very much. Thank you.
That answer your question, Lizzie?
Well, would our teachers be staying with local families?
See, what Lizzie, we thought was in India we could get enough number of Rotarians to host them in their houses, but it all depends. It could be either way. Either they stay in hotels, or since they are not Rotarians, VTT is slightly different from GSC team. The Rotarian leader could stay in a Rotarian's house, but the teachers who are coming from there, they may not be knowing how we operate our friendship exchange programs. So they may not like to be staying in houses. They probably may require some privacy of a hotel or something like that. So this cost could be borne by the in the VTT global grant application, because that's why major cost of this VTT exercise is a cost of accommodation, cost of traveling, and also as somebody mentioned, you see, it's a good idea to be sending them for a 3 or 4 days to the teacher training institute, which are specialized training institute, where we may have to pay some money, which you can factor it in our global grant application. Say that they'll be spending 3 or 4 days in a teacher training program, specially designed for them, and you can get a quote from them as to what would their charges would be. That charges could be accommodated in our application, saying that maybe 3 days or 4 days or a week they'll be spending in a teacher training program, so much is the cost. So all that could be thought about. Now that we've got enough time, we could work on that. Well, I had given certain inputs to Wilma to share it with you. Maybe you can, Wilma, you can share it with everyone so they could look for the information which we seek while making the application.
And just to confirm, this is really aimed at secondary teachers rather than primary teachers.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we'll be focusing on teachers who are teaching in what's called, as Dr. Vasu mentioned, the government schools. In India, government schools they lack in the numbers, and also lack in the qualification, teachers' qualification. So our focus is to train the teachers who are teaching in secondary or high school level in the government schools.
So what age group would that be then? I think that clarifies the matter. I think would it
our age group could be, see, we start at the age of 6 for children. Now, by the time they come to what we call as a secondary school, maybe you call secondary school as 7th graders or 7th to 10th graders, maybe. So it could be children between the age group of 13 to 15 or 16.
Okay.
Right.
Arthur?
Yeah, from Jatindra's answer before about what our team would get from it, from the way it answered that, it would be the only way to do it is for the Indian team to come here first and then ours to go there. If we did it the other way around, we'd be, to me, it sounds like the cart before the horse. Seems a bit wrong way around that then. In that case, we need to go first, they need to come first, see how it's done here, then our teachers go there and support them in applying what they've learned here.
Yeah, I think that was the original idea when it was discussed, and I'm sure that can be organised.
But there was a suggestion earlier that we perhaps go there first, but that's
I think that's
right to me.
I think the suggestion was made because we were talking about possibly in October or November, and it would be easier for our teachers to go out there first. But if we have sufficient time, I think it would be a case that they come here first, see how we do it, and then we go back to India and take it up from there.
Yeah, we could even do it after Easter term.
I'm aware that I've had your attention for nearly an hour now. Is there any more questions that you feel answering, James?
Madam Chair, is this being minuted?
It's not been minuted, but I've recorded it.
So can I finally ask what has now been decided?
Well, this session tonight, as far as I'm concerned, was more a fact-finding situation. We have taken into account the comments that everybody has made. What would happen now is in September, we would, and please interrupt me, Rajendra, if I'm talking a lot of nonsense here, we will contact the schools and find out what their interest, if they are interested or not. Once we have that, the global grant application will go in to Rotary Foundation in Evanston. And that, once it's approved, will then give us the opportunity to start the ball rolling. But if the global grant goes in, we need to be ready with already knowing what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and where we're going to do it. And that is what we need to establish from now to September.
Yes. Thank you.
Is that a fair roundup of
Very right.
activities?
Very right, Velma. Also, you need to understand the cost implications. What could it cost? That's very important for the stay, for the movement of them. If you are putting them to a training school for a few days, you can, that also cost to be added together. So we need to know the, as you mentioned, we need to be the cost, because all that inputs are required for us to put together in our application.
And I'm sure that Rajendra and Vas will be involved with, not that I particularly want to do the job, but I'm quite prepared to help with, and I'm sure John would be able to help there, and we'll draw on Sam's expertise. And those of you, it would be very kind if you could let me know, yes, I am with you, and I want to be partaking in this, being either a leader or arranging. I'm going to contact these schools. We as a club is prepared to do all these activities or to host people. That's useful information to gather at this moment in time before we really start doing the fact finding, because it tells me who are the people that we need to keep contact with. Lizzie?
Yeah, because we'll be applying for a global grant, what would be the cost for each club to match that?
That's difficult to say at this moment in time, because although we have spoken to Sam before regarding the availability of the district's designated district funds, we won't know what the total cost of the project is until we have all this other information. And once we have that and we know what available DDF we have, plus the contribution that will come from District 3190, obviously, I think Rajendra will show an interest in doing that. Then if there's any shortfall, we will go to clubs and say, look, we really need some support from clubs. But at this moment in time, that is the last thing that I'm going to worry about, Lizzie. The main thing is to get everything sorted and make sure that we have the drive and the willingness of the Rotarians in District 1190 to work and support, to work with us and support us. Rajendra?
Yeah, to add to what you said, we have committed $12,000 TDF for this particular project, and Dr. Vasu had suggested at that time, in the last year, Rotary year, I think your district had promised something like 4,500 DDF for this thing, which would take us to make a project of around $30,000. That's what we are aiming for. So in our district, we have a system of carry forward. What was committed last year, it has been committed for this project. It gets carried forward to this year. So we still stand by that $12,000 commitment in terms of DDF, which will give you $12,000 plus 80% of $12,000. That will be roughly about $9,000. So that comes to about $21,000, around $21,000. The remaining has to be filled in by your district with the either through DDF or through club contributions.
Yeah. Lizzie?
Yeah, can I just confirm that this is at no cost to the teachers whatsoever?
I would, well, that's the indication that was given by Rajendra, that we will that the cost of teachers or that needs to come in to fill the places will be paid for through the global grant.
Correct. See, it's like a GSE group study team. We are sponsoring those teachers to visit our country. Similarly, we are global grant project will take care of the visit of our teachers to your place. There is no cost to the teachers who are the beneficiary of this program, as well as those teachers from your UK side who are willing to come down and impart their knowledge and experience with our teachers. There's no cost to them.
Unless they want to buy souvenirs, I think that.
They should be.
Arthur?
Yeah, just two things. First of all, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the minimum amount for a global grant is $30,000.
That's right.
It can be more if necessary.
Yes. Yeah.
And secondly, just to let you know, I'd be interested in being involved to see what I can learn about this, because it's something that interests me, this.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Your name is at the top of the list at this moment in
I
time.
wouldn't try moving it down a bit, but I can't commit my club yet till I've spoken to them. But I'd as an individual, I'd be interested.
Well, your name is at the top of the list, followed by Lizzie and Albert, and then Bill Jochen is at the next, and Brian Boyd is following. So I've got a nice follow-up of people who's interested. And James, I might just add your name to it as well.
Yeah, don't leave Vaz out though.
Oh well, no, Vaz, no, he has no choice. Absolutely no choice.
Right.
Is there any further questions?
No. How's the tennis doing?
Don't know. I'm going to find out now. Can I say once again, thank you to you all for giving up your time to come tonight. I've quickly written down all the names that's on the screen, so I will send you all emails with the information required. James, can you just tell me which club you are from? You're muted.
Beg your pardon, the Grand Old Club of Leyland.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you.
It is our 70th birthday next year.
Oh, well, what a good way to celebrate it, isn't it?
I wish it was mine.
Many happy
Can I just say how nice it is to have a bit of fellowship on this, because I feel recently the fellowship in Rotary has been pushed to one side, and I think we need to get that back on track.
Absolutely.
Yes. Not meeting face to face is one thing, but you lose an awful lot. Zooms are great for meetings because it concentrates the mind, but I do think we should be at least given an opportunity to meet face to face.
And I think another.
I'll be very happy if you could share the email IDs of the participants so that I could probably share information about what we do on the literacy side. See, there is a lot to be talking about in what's going on in India.
Thank you. I have another name that I will add to the list, and that's past District Governor David Simpson.
But he's kept his mouth shut and landed into it.
I thought keeping my mouth shut would keep me out of it.
I don't know why you don't just delegate everything, Val. You know, you might as well just throw jobs out to people.
She's good at that. She's good at that.
I thought it was just a still of him.
Well, everybody, thank you very much once again. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. Have a lovely evening and speak to you soon.
Well,
Take
I
care.
think we should.
I'll see you Friday, David.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
See you, Arthur.
Yep.
Bye.
Lovely to see you.
Bill will speak offline.
Lovely. How nice.
It's midnight.
started
for
at 11.
Thank you very much
for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
As I said.